second. Hello, everybody. Right now, we're going to have an interview with lovely Rikishi and Connect Del Rio. Let's give a round of applause.
Good afternoon, Del Rio. Can we hear some noise? Hope y'all doing a good time. My name's Alexander Menchaca. I'm the meteorologist for Connect Del Rio. I have Michelle with me. I'm gonna have her introduce herself.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Del Rio Comic-Con. My name is Michelle Gonzalez, and I am from Connect Del Rio. So we are here, and we are excited to interview the one and only Rikishi. Give him a big Del Rio welcome. All right, so we're going to get started. Rikishi, it's great to have you here in Del Rio. And speaking of Del Rio, we heard that you visited a couple of places in town. So we heard, what do we hear, Alex?
Julio's, Rudy's. We want to get your take, Rikishi, on what's your favorite part of Del Rio? What's your favorite food here that you tried?
First of all, I'd like to thank you to all the fans for coming out to Del Rio Comic-Con. It's been a pleasure for the few hours that I've been here. I was looking forward to come to Del Rio because during my travels at WWE back in the day, I've never been here to Del Rio, Texas. So big shout out to Del Rio, Texas. And I got a chance, I got to say this, big shout out to Julio's restaurant. I never knew what was about the chips. And of course, I went there last night and experienced some great Mexican cuisine. And they brought out the red carpet for me last night, and they gifted me and my team with some chips to be able to take home. Okay. And so I think I'm going to keep most of the box for myself. So it was a great experience. This is the beautiful part about my job, is to be able to travel and support small local businesses, and to be able to experience the world famous Julio's. Man, now I can put that off the bucket list and say that Rikishi was there.
Thank you so much, Rikishi. Now, once you've tried a Julio's chip, you won't want to try any other.
Yeah, I gained 10 pounds.
So Rikishi, you're WWE Hall of Famer. You had an amazing career. You were in the Attitude Era, which a lot of people reference that as the golden era of wrestling. What would you say was one of your most memorable matches to you?
Man, I guess I'd have to say stink facing Vince McMahon. Back in the day there was so many blessings to work with a lot of the greats. I'm sure all the parents, we were the ones back in the day that for the Attitude Era, and you were our fans. Now you have kids that are with the new era today, such as, the Yeet, and then you have Jimmy and Jade, Solo, you have Jacob Fatu. I mean, the list goes on, but I feel they don't make them like how they made us back in the day in Attitude Era. Right. You got Stone Cold Steve Austin. You got The Rock. And you got Undertaker. And you have a guy that rolls up the fatty, the Godfather, and come out with holes and stuff like that. So it was so rated R to the limit back in the day. Like, I'm surprised they even let us on TV. And then you got a big Samoan with blonde hair, 450 pounds, sticking his thong in people's faces. That right there, I used to call that, I like to personally say, that was the people's stink face. So, to answer your question, I'd have to say Hell in a Cell.
Absolutely.
Was probably one of my most memorable matches. And I only say this because in our business, you always wait for that opportunity to be able to wrestle the main guys on the roster. And during that time, I remember Vince McMahon said that, this match, he's got like $1 billion of talent in there. Meaning that he was crossing his finger that none of us, got hurt out there. Of course, I was the one that took the big bump from the Hell in a Cell. Like you had, Undertaker. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin. You have Kurt Angle. You had myself out there. You had Triple H. So these were all kind of like the top guys of the industry. And I was just blessed that I was able to perform with guys like that. And, to this day, taking that bump from the Hell in a Cell, true story. I almost got divorced from that. Because my wife at the time didn't feel that I should have jeopardized my life to take that type of fall. Especially, I didn't tell them that I was going to take that fall on the pay-per-view. But when you do what you love and you train for these type of moments that you hope that it ever comes, well, it was a no-brainer for me. For me, it was, this is what I do. I understand that a lot of fans pay hard-earned money to come see us perform, and that's my job, is to perform. And if it took my life that day, then so be it. But I like to thank God that I was able to, to perform the bump, and then I'm able to sit here today to be able to talk with you fans about it. At the end of the day, I saved my marriage and I paid off my house.
Amen to that, right? So,
Yeah.
and you said 450 pounds, right?
Yeah.
6 foot?
6'2".
6'2", and behind all those muscles is a huge heart, right? So, and looking up, learning about you, Rikishi, family means a lot to you. Your culture, being supported by Yokozuna, your grandfather, your wife, your children. It all takes a village, right? And so we know Yokozuna also mentioned that you're never alone, right? You always have somebody by your side. So what influences did everybody behind you, behind that 6'2", 400-pound wrestler, what impact did they make on you through your life?
Well, it starts within the circle in your family. I like to say it starts within your living room. Where I come from, Polynesian people, we are so alike, meaning that our culture is everything to us. We eat special food, even though we know it's not good for us, but that's just our culture. And, to be able to have the family, supportive in this crazy business of professional wrestling, I don't feel that I could have done this by myself. And that's why you see so many bloodline members, so many dynasties. We're the biggest family in professional wrestling at 18 strong, past, present, and future. And so at the end of the day, it's the core of our family that keeps us going. Of course, each of us have our own personal family. That right there, as a man, as a father, it is my responsibility to provide for my kids, to provide, to be able to give them an opportunity at life, as today is different from when we grew up. When we grew up, we had no cell phones. When we grew up, we had no GPS. We had the big maps. And, you imagine you don't know how to read. Imagine you don't know, like you're semi-blind. So how do you figure it out? How do you get from A to B? You figure it out. You do what's necessary to be able to, provide for your family. Many a times I've slept in a rest area. I would go into the rest area and I would take a bag, couldn't afford to sleep in a hotel, make only $30 a booking. So I would go in there, I'd wash my face, and, clean myself up. Then I would come out as if I walked out the Marriott Hotel. I show up to the arena, they see this mirror of superstar, blah, blah, blah. So in the meantime, I'm learning the game to be able to build your brand. Because we're like superheroes and villains. The only real thing about us is we're human. But the rest what you see on TV, that's like, I always say, that's like video games. A lot of kids today, PlayStation, right? But at the end of the day, we hurt. Rikishi hurts. Sometimes I don't feel like doing this. Sometimes I don't feel like sitting here to be able to show up to an appearance. But your purpose is anything, right? My purpose is our family. My purpose is my kids. My purpose is the community. So it's important for us that we each one teach one. And I want to say this. In our business of wrestling, I want you guys to be proud of diversity. A lot of us, we don't look like the normal that's out there. A lot of us, we have to kick down doors, even though we have the same education, even though we have the same smarts. But, you know, I don't like sometimes when I show up, people don't know, or my sons, they're big. So what are you? Are you a security guard? My son says, no, I'm going to school to be a doctor. So what I'm saying to you is just that stereotype of how people look at us. Be proud of yourself. Be proud of your culture. This is the reason why we wear these tattoos here. This is a mark of warriors where I come from. So everywhere we go on the platform of professional wrestling, we stand tall, we stand pride, and we stand for the culture and the faith of who we are as a Samoan dynasty.
That's beautiful. And Rikishi, once you come to Del Rio, you're family. So
Absolutely.
let's give him a Del Rio
coming
welcome.
back.
So Rikishi, love the legacy that you talked about the family motivating you and just keeping you going. You know, you were saying that a lot of fans that watched you, you know, like me when I watched you, 90s baby, you know, now the younger generation, people that want to aspire to follow your career, follow wrestling, what message would you tell them that would inspire them to, you know, follow their dreams? Because I'm sure that it was a big dream of yours that was completed. And I just love just hearing your thoughts on that.
You know, honestly, you know, we family. You know, we can sit here and have a conversation. You guys see this as Rikishi, but I'm talking to you as a man, as a father, as a brother, as a son. Wrestling wasn't my first pick. At 17, I had my kids, my twin boys. And I can honestly say I was one of those kids that, you know, I didn't listen to my parents. You're in high school, you know, you think you look fly, you have a girlfriend, and next thing you know, oops, something happened. So when I had my kids at 17, I got scared straight. I was working at McDonald's, you know, flipping fries and burgers. I worked at a supermarket, being a courtesy clerk to push carts. I realized I had this responsibility to feed these kids and to be able to provide for them. Now keep in mind, I'm a kid myself. What do I know about taking care of kids? And so, you know, at the time, my uncles Afensika's were in the business. And my mother is Afensika's older sister. And so I reached out to my mother and I asked her, you know, respectfully, I said, Mom, I really need a job. I really need to put my life on hold and do something that can help take care of my kids. So she made the call to my uncles Afensika, and they flew me to their place. And my goodness, I thought it was boot camp. They were so upset at me because I didn't listen to my parents. I didn't finish, you know, what I was supposed to finish first, education, you know, finish up college. Because I played basketball and I played football. And I felt I was pretty good at it. But when you have kids, man, it changed my life. It changed my mindset. Like, I was a kid having kids. And so I was blessed to be able to be with my uncles. Man, they trained me 3 years. I started at 17 and I turned pro at 20. Ever since then, it was that life of, learning the business. A young kid that didn't finish college, but I turned corporate into corporate, and I've learned to mingle with certain professionals. What I did do was listen, shut my mouth, and learn. As I grew up 35 years in the business, here I am. All my kids are doing well. They all, ready to retire. My 13 grandkids are all safe. Everybody's underneath a good roof. And here I am. So the moral of this story is, if you believe in yourself and you believe the talent that you have, don't wait for people to come and wait to tell you that. Know your worth. Follow your heart. Because my dream might not be their dreams. Their dreams might not be what I want to do. But at the end of the day, you got to follow what is important to you, and you got to do you. But always learn to listen, understand, and just, sometimes just keep it for a minute. Let it marinate in your brain for a minute. And then at the end of the day, you got to realize, I'm not just making a decision for me. I'm making a decision for the young birds in the nest that are waiting for me to eat. And so, I'm blessed to be able to have a good career. I like to think that I done well for myself. I like to, always, of course, we got to give it up to God. Thank you for the health, for us to be able to fellowship like this. And it's just a beautiful thing. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than professional wrestling. It's about my story, gravitate to the young kids that are out here, because all they see is just wrestling. They see the superhero, they see the action figure, the Funko Pop, all that stuff. That's just smokes and mirrors. What really is what do you do with your platform? And this is my platform, to come back to the community and to be able to tell my story, and hopefully it motivates somebody or young kid out there.
Awesome. Amazing. Good job, Alexander.
Real inspiring. Awesome.
Definitely learning a lot of life lessons from you, Rikishi.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah, that's right. So you said wrestling, right? So you are a WWE Hall of Famer. What is it like? Let's give it up, WWE. Hall of Famer. Now, what is it like, if you could describe it to all of us, what does it feel like to be in that ring? And I've been watching, I clicked on so many videos out there that are on YouTube, and so much, I learned about stink face, right? And the one I caught was, one of them was with John Cena, right? Yeah. What is it like to be in that ring? I mean, you bumped up against those ropes, slamming on the ground, and it's just so much, it's intense. So what does it feel like from your perspective?
Well, you know what, it's a job. But at first, I think like every other kid out here, we can't wait to get in there and just, do what we see all the time. But, I want to say maybe the first couple of years was exciting. Can't wait to get to the arena and jump in the ring. But after a while, it's like, okay, my body don't feel like doing this today. I got hurt last night up in San Antonio, and today I got to wrestle in Del Rio, but I gotta keep that performance up. And so you kind of go to your fundamentals. You go to your training. You go to those who you're working with. Hey man, I'm hurt from last night. Maybe you're gonna have to kind of pick up a little bit more of the match tonight, because at the end of the day, we're advertised to work together, right? And the promoters, they're not gonna cancel a match. They're not gonna give the fans money back. They're gonna say, get out there and do what you're trained to do. And so, at the end of the day, it's a job. I think I realized that after a couple years in the business. But when you're young, you're all of a sudden you're flying all over the place. What do you mean? You know, they get to pay for my ticket to fly to go here. They get to, you know, pay this and that. And so you kind of get caught up in all that stuff when you're not used to having something, and then all of a sudden you got everything at the tip of your hands. It's what you do with it. Do you do the positive, or do you just do the negative, meaning that if you know you're getting free this and that, do you drain that person out? Do you drain that business out? Or do you come back, utilize your platform to help promote that small business that's out there? Because that person there, they all put their money into making that business grow. So I always like to, in this industry, like I said, it's bigger than us. That's how the Samoans, the dynasty, are trained. That's how the Guerreros are trained. I mean, I could go to the Heart Foundation. All these people here in this families, we've been trained up underneath all the legendary, the greats that went through the business in hard times. So we hear this all the time. When you make it, make sure you give back. Make sure you utilize something for the community. Make sure you stand tall with your culture. Because if we don't talk about it, who is? If we don't talk about our people, who is? So at the end of the day, professional wrestling is just, it's just a job now. I think after 35 years in the industry, I've been retired 25 years, I'm kind of just burnt out of professional wrestling.
Thank you. We're glad you did it for so long, though, and you're still here with us. We're blessed to have you here.
I'm 17 years old and then 35 years.
Yeah, definitely.
So I have a question that has been in my mind since the first time I saw you.
Okay.
And it was about the stick face.
Oh, Lord.
One of the most iconic finishes ever in wrestling
Why
history.
did I know that was going to come up?
My question, Rikishi, is what inspired that move? Was it accidental? Was it planned out? I want to know what the story behind it, if that's fine.
Well, my goodness. If you got a man with a big butt out there with a thumb, you know, for me it was like, why not? We're in the entertainment business. Long story short, I've been through like 6 characters, and the Rikishi was my last character. And in the business, you try to find that character that sticks. Well, this one stick. I had no idea all these years I was looking for the right character, but my moneymaker was right behind me. And so, how many of you guys remember Big Boss Man? Okay, he's one of the OGs back in the day. I come out with this character the first time, and we did a house show Sunday in Mobile, Alabama. And the house show meaning there's no cameras. It's just a regular show. We can pretty much goof around if we want to out there. There were like 18,000 people sold out. So this is the first time I wrestled Big Boss Man in this character, Rikishi, with a thumb. While we were back there, he was laughing his butt off. He said, "You wearing that out there? You wearing that?" I said, "Yeah, I'm wearing this out there. I'm gonna wear this out there." So anyhow, we get out there, we just start wrestling, having fun. And when I gave Big Boss Man a clothesline, he took what we call a bump. Bump means he took a fall. Now when he took the fall, I didn't notice he took a fall in the corner. But he was in that stink face position as we know today. That's how that position came. It was on an accident. So I can hear, I didn't see him fall down, but I heard a voice. It was like an old lady's voice in the front row. She was like, "Rikishi, turn around and stick your butt in his face." And this is where that slow movement come from, because I was trying to find out who said that. So as I turned around and I did the slow turn, now I'm looking at Boss Man. I said, "Okay, now what?" So I go to turn, like I'm taking that first step just to walk, but I heard in the arena of 18,000, when I took that first step, it was like a volcano. You can hear Oh. I said, okay, I think I'm on this side. I took the second step. Ah. By the time it came to the third, fourth step, the arena was erupting. So I get there, and then he says, turn around, baby, turn around. This is boss man. I said, okay, don't tell me this fool is going to tell me what I think he's going to tell me. So I turned around, and it was so loud in Mobile, Alabama. He says, EJ, go ahead and give it to me, baby. Stick your butt in my face. I said, are you sure? Now, we've been wrestling like 20 minutes. I'm sweaty. You know what I mean? I went to Taco Bell for a little bit before I came. I was like, you sure? Give it to me, baby. I backed it up and it was the loudest freaking pop in my career. And I was like, okay, this is a little bit degrading, but it's easy. I'm not getting hurt. He's not getting hurt. And the following day, it was Monday Night Raw. That's when we used to shoot it live. Monday Night Raw, and then on Tuesday, SmackDown Live. The following day, the Stink Face was introduced to the world. And that's how that traveled on. And Chris Jericho was the one that came out and gave that name, you know, the Stink Face.
Stink face.
And there's the story, because I said so.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Rikishi. And so, is there anything else that you want to share with Del Rio before we wrap up? I mean, we are so blessed to have you here. We're just so thankful to have this time to speak with you and with our audience here at Del Rio Comic-Con. And like I said, your family. So what else would you like to share with everyone here at Comic-Con before we wrap up?
Well, you know, it's very simple. It's an honor to be here with you all. Being away from my family. I have a new family now, Del Rio, Texas. You know, and just always remember, you know, as I look around, there's a lot of our kids that are growing up here. You know, let's, recognize that, you know, they're the future. And let's try to, you know, be the best way we can. Not all of us are doing well, you know, financially or professionally. But at the end of the day, you know, it's free to be kind to one another and to be able to support one another. You know, we need to live. We need to live within peace and love amongst each other and be proud of who you are. Be proud of the culture. Represent the culture with utmost respect and pride, because if we don't, who will? All right, Del Rio, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Samoan Dynasty, Bloodline. Thank you.
Give it up for Rikishi Del Rio Comic-Con. Thank you guys. Thank you so much, Rikishi.
Thank you. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.